Raw chicken can kill a human in 3 days. Raw tuna is a delicacy. Both are muscle from a vertebrate. Both were alive last week. So why does one land you in the hospital and the other lets you enjoy a delicacy? The answer isn't about freshness and it isn't about tradition. It's about a very specific loophole in your own biology and a trick involving a freezer set to a temperature that would kill a human in about 10 minutes. Every piece of sashimi you have ever eaten was, at some point, frozen solid for a week. By law. Here's what nobody tells you at the sushi counter. Inside a living cow, a living pig, a living chicken, the muscle itself is basically sterile. The problem isn't the meat. The problem is the outside of the animal. The skin, the gut, the hide crawling with bacteria that get smeared onto the meat the moment something goes wrong at the slaughterhouse. E. coli, Salmonella, Campylobacter, they live on surfaces. Grind that surface into the interior and you get ground beef, a food where every bacterium from the outside of the cow is now distributed evenly through the middle of your burger. Cooking to 160 degrees Fahrenheit isn't a suggestion, it's a decontamination protocol. Fish come out of cold water. Their flesh runs at 40 degrees, not 98. The bacteria that thrive inside a warm mammal don't grow well inside a cold trout. So fish should be the easy meal, except it isn't, because fish carry something worse. They carry worms. Meet Anisakis simplex, a parasitic nematode about an inch long, thin as a thread, translucent, and very much alive inside the flesh of wild salmon, mackerel, herring, and cod. If you eat one, it doesn't politely pass through. It burrows into the wall of your stomach or small intestine and starts trying to chew its way out. The condition is called anisakiasis. Violent nausea within an hour, cramping, and in a small percentage of cases, an allergic reaction severe enough to send you to the emergency room. Japanese and Spanish hospitals see thousands of cases a year. And here's the punchline. You cannot see most of these worms without a light behind the fillet. So how has sushi not wiped out the millions of people eating it every single day? Because of a rule most sushi eaters have never heard of. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration requires that any fish served raw be frozen first, either at 4 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit for a full 7 days, or at 31 below for 15 hours. That's the whole trick. Freezing shatters the cells of the parasite and kills it stone dead while leaving the muscle protein intact enough to still taste like sushi. The European Union has an almost identical rule. Every piece of sashimi you have ever eaten in a reputable restaurant was, at some point, a fish popsicle. The illusion of freshness is real in flavor. It is a lie in temperature. And it is the only reason raw fish is a cuisine instead of a hospital visit. That freezing trick works on parasites. It does absolutely nothing to bacteria, which is why raw meat, real raw meat from a warm land animal, is a completely different problem. Skip the pan and eat a raw chicken breast tonight, and within 12 to 72 hours, you meet Campylobacter jejuni. Fever, cramps, bloody diarrhea, and in a small but real number of cases, Guillain-Barré syndrome, an autoimmune attack on your own nerves that can leave you temporarily paralyzed. Raw pork used to hand people trichinosis, worms encysted in your muscle tissue for years. Raw ground beef is the one people actually die from. A specific strain called E. coli O157:H7 produces a toxin that shreds the lining of blood vessels in your kidneys. Doctors call it hemolytic uremic syndrome. It has killed children who ate an undercooked burger at a chain restaurant. That's not folklore. That's the 1990s. So the logical conclusion is that nobody eats raw meat. Except, and here you have to admit humans are strange, plenty of people do. Steak tartare in Paris, carpaccio, invented in Venice in 1950, kibbeh naya in Lebanon, met in Germany, spiced raw pork on a bread roll sold at grocery store deli counters, Ethiopian kitfo, Korean yuko. These dishes exist because of a very specific loophole. The inside of a whole muscle from a healthy animal is basically sterile. The bacteria are on the outside, so if a chef sears the exterior of a whole cut for 10 seconds and then chops only the interior, you get something technically raw, but bacteriologically closer to cooked. The grinder is the enemy, the whole muscle is the friend. But your body knows something none of this explains away. You are not a wolf. A wolf's stomach runs at a pH of around 1. Hydrochloric acid strong enough to dissolve bone fragments. Your stomach sits closer to 1.5. That sounds like a small difference until you remember that pH is logarithmic. Your stomach is roughly 10 times less acidic than a true scavenger's. The evolutionary biologist Richard Wrangham has spent his career arguing that this is not an accident, that around 1.5 million years ago, our ancestors tamed fire, started cooking, and the pressure on our guts to be industrial-grade decontamination chambers simply relaxed. Our jaws shrank, our teeth shrank, our large intestines shortened, our brains, freed from digesting raw, fibrous meat all day, ballooned. Cooking didn't just change our diet, cooking made us human. Which means every time you eat raw beef, you're placing a bet against 1 million years of your own biology. Your ancestors traded away the equipment. You cannot get it back with a squeeze of lemon. That is the heavy part. Now here's the twist that lets you off the hook. The same evolution that took away your ability to safely eat raw mammal did not take away your ability to eat raw fish, and that turns out to be a gift. Cold water fish like salmon and mackerel and sardines carry two fatty acids called EPA and DHA. They build the membranes of your neurons. They lower systemic inflammation, and they are heat sensitive. Frying a salmon fillet degrades a measurable fraction of them. Grilling degrades more. The Japanese diet, heavy on raw and lightly cured fish, has been linked to lower rates of coronary heart disease than any Western population. The Hisayama study in Kyushu has been tracking it since 1961. The Japanese didn't invent sashimi because they were reckless. They invented it because the ocean was giving them something the stove would have taken away. So here is the whole story in one breath. Fish are cold. Bacteria don't grow well in cold flesh. What fish have instead is parasites, and parasites die in a freezer. Meat is warm. Bacteria love warm flesh. They multiply fast, and freezing does nothing to them. Only heat kills them. That is the entire difference between the two plates. Cold fish plus a freezer equals safe. Warm meat without a hot pan equals sick. Everything else, the sushi chef, the FDA rule, the shrunken human stomach, the ballooned human brain, is just detail hanging off those two sentences. Which brings you back to the counter, to the slice of tuna sitting on rice, looking as if it swam onto your plate this morning. It didn't. It rode a truck and a boat and a freezer set to a temperature that would kill a human in minutes. And you pick it up between two wooden sticks, and for a second you are doing something no other primate on Earth has ever done, eating another animal, uncooked, and walking away fine. Your ancestors, huddled around the first controlled fire 1.5 million years ago, would not recognize the meal. But they would recognize the hunger. The same one that drove them to figure out fire is the one that drove someone, somewhere on a Japanese coast, to figure out that a fish frozen through a hard winter didn't make you sick the way a fresh one did. Two answers to the same question, separated by 100,000 generations. One made you human. The other let you stay that way while eating something your body was never supposed to be able to touch. Now tell me in the comments, was there a time when you tried sushi for the first time and hated it, only to fall in love with it later? And have you ever tasted raw meat in any form? Drop your story below.